So this is hopefully going to be a quick video. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to partition a 64 gigabyte SD card. This is the SD card in question. If you can get it out of the container, it is a SanDisk Ultra Micro SDXC 64 gig unformatted capacity. It comes with an adapter. It costs £14 from Asda, and I'm putting it into the SD card on my laptop, which I'm running WinUAE on, as you can see on that screen there. So apparently I need to format the disk drive before I can use it. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, so first things first, we need to get into WinUAE config. We need to add the SD card. So I'm going to hard drives. I'm going to add hard drive. Thinking about it, there's something we need to do before that. Let me cancel that. Let me cancel that. So the first thing we need to do is use disk part to list disk, if I can type. As you can see, disk 1, 59 gig, that I know from testing previously is the SD card. We're going to select disk 1 and then we're going to clean it. That removes partitions from the disk, so the disk is now ready to use in WinUAE. Prior to using it in WinUAE, we have to eject the SD card, much like you'd have to reset the Amiga after doing a partition change. Well, with some exceptions. So that's the SD card packed back in. Let's just double check that it's shown in disk part. It is shown in disk part, and we've got the good old requester about. Yeah, that can go away again. So next thing we do, we bring up the WinUAE config. Okay. Not sure why that's took itself off down there. Let's bring it back up here. So, add hard drive. Hard drive, 59.5 gig. Let's select that one. We'll go add hard drive. It's given it a device name. That's fine. Happy with that. I'm going to save the configuration file, and then I'm going to load the configuration file. Unnecessary step. And then we're going to start the Amiga 1200 emulator. As you can see, it's booted. And as you can see, I've already done some preparation here. We've got HD Toolbox configured, where the icon information has EHIDE device. That's for the terrible fire cards. We have the default one configured, which uses SCSI. As you can see, information SCSI.device. And we can see the one that's for UAE, which uses UAEHF.device. If you only have one copy, you need to change it. Oh, that's not showing. Frustrating. Let's try that again. Better. So, as you can see, I've got 3 HD toolboxes. You can see from the icon information, basically click on the icon, right click, use the icons menu, select information. Or if you want to use the keyboard shortcut, you could click the icon and then Amiga I. This is on emulation, so it's on this keyboard. So, EHIDE device. If you wanted to edit it, you'd click on it, you'd select there, you'd put the other one in that you wanted, for example, SCSI.device. Then you would press enter. Only then does it take effect in the information file, and only if you save it. So we've saved it, and it's decided to put itself back over there again. Anyway, that one should be EHIDE device, so let's change it back to EHIDE device, and no doubt the icon will go and reappear back where it was before. Yeah, right. I don't like icons that do that. It annoys me. I get very particular. So I'm using the icon menu to snapshot, which I could have used the keyboard shortcut of Amiga and S. Right, so WinUAE. We have to use the UAEHF one. We've got 2 SCSI things showing. One of these is a directory that I booted from. The other of these is the SD card. I don't know which is which, so let's click change drive type for the first. We'll go define new and we'll reconfiguration and then continue. UAE, that one is the directory. So I'm going to cancel that, we don't need to know. I'm going to cancel that. We're going to select the next one, then we're going to change drive type. We're going to go define new, we're going to go reconfiguration, we're going to go continue. As you can see, we have a Ricoh. I know that that's the brand of the card reader. It's got lots of cylinders, lots of heads, lots of blocks per track, lots of blocks per cylinder, and it's got a size of minus 558,262 kilobytes. So the drive size is minus 545 meg. Obviously at this point, these numbers are untrue, inaccurate and completely wrong. So that's fine. We can accept that and click OK. Then click OK. It says it can't find the LFast file system. That's unimportant because fast file system is built into the BIOS, or as we would call it, the Kickstart ROM in the Amiga. There is an updated version, we can copy that across later if we want. Click continue. So we now have partition drive available. We've got the Ricoh highlighted. Let's partition it. So as you can see, it's suggesting we split it into two partitions, the one on the left in black, the one on the right in a sort of scratchy white colour, and it's suggesting they're 1771 meg each. This is not true. This is completely inaccurate. Well, the numbers are completely inaccurate. These sliders are roughly correct. So if these sliders are roughly correct, then 1 gigabyte is going to be approximately 1/59th the length of this bar. So let's delete that partition. So we now only have one partition and some empty space, and we can put the partition wherever we want on the drive. Now as you can see, it says 1771 meg, but we know that's wrong because it rolls over at about 4096 meg. So if we scroll it to the left slightly, oh look at that, it's gone up. And a little bit more. It's gone down a little bit more. It's gone down a little bit more. It's gone back up again. Now this is not even half, or more than a third, less than a half of the hard disk, so of the SD card, and the SD card's 59 gigs, so that's going to be approximately 26 gig maybe. Way too big. For an Amiga, if you're using Kickstart 3.0 or Kickstart 3.1 and the fast file system, the maximum boot partition size you can use is 2048 meg, and that's really tricky, so aim for less. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that, in fact I'm going to move it all the way to the left. We can't see the number, I think it says 15 meg. So let's click advanced options. 15 meg, start cylinder 2, end cylinder 3, total cylinders 2. Okay, well, if that's cylinders 2 and 3, let's change that value to 5 and make it twice as big. 31 meg. Okay, let's make the end cylinder 50. Is that 84 meg? Let's make it 500. 3914 meg. That's too big. Let's make it 260. 2031 meg. 2055 meg. 2047 meg. And because I'm particular, I'm going to call this one SDO. If I will call it SDXC because it's an SDXC card. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click change, and on this page I'm going to change the max transfer value from FFFFF to 0x1FEE00. Now when you make that change, you must press enter, because if you don't press enter, it won't save it. So I'm going to click in that box, I'm going to press enter again, then I'm going to click OK, then I'm going to click change again, and I'm going to double check that it's actually saved it, which it has. Okay, so in theory, that's a partition of 2047 meg with lots of space free, and at the moment that's all we're going to do so far. One partition, 2047 meg, that's it. So we click OK and save changes to drive. Done. Exit. So, where's the drive? Well, it's not going to be visible to a reboot. So, let's do a reboot. There should, in a moment, appear a non-DOS partition. So, if we right click and go to Icons menu and then go to Format Disk, I'm going to put directory cache on because I've got lots of RAM, and hey, why not? If you only have a 2 meg Amiga, leave directory cache off because it will use RAM that you don't need to waste. And in terms of volume name, I'm going to call it Workbench because why not? Now, it's an SD card. It's not a hard disk. It doesn't need formatted, it needs quick formatted, otherwise you're unnecessarily giving it wear and tear. So just go for quick format. Oh look, all data will be lost to 2047 meg capacity. I think we've got that right. Let's click format. Yes, we're going to format it. Now, if we get an error at this point, if we had got an error at that point, that would usually mean that the partition was bigger than what we thought it was. So it would probably rolled past over 2047 meg. But here we are. We have a partition called Workbench. It's got 2046 meg free, 520k in use. And at the moment, this won't boot on an Amiga 1200 because it's got nothing in it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to copy most of the contents of the WinUAE shared folder into the Workbench folder, and we're going to do this from Workbench without doing anything else, nothing special. And there's a reason we're going to do it this way. So I'm going to go show all files, and I am not going to select a few of these folders because some of these are backups of other drives. So we don't want DH1, we don't want DH3, we don't want DH2.7z, we don't want DH4, we don't want DH1.7z, and we don't want DH2, at least we don't want them yet. The other things we do want, definitely. So I'm just going to drag these across here slightly. I could do shift to multiple select, but I can't be bothered. Right. So now I'm going to copy everything. Why did I select trash can? Right, anyway, as you can see, despite the error, it's continuing, and this will continue for some time. What I'll probably do is mute the audio or fast forward it in a minute. So, while we're waiting, as you can see from the top, the WinUAE shared, which is a folder, a Windows folder, shared and booted from, that contains a copy of one of my SD card partitions, which is configured so it'll boot up on my Amiga 1200 with the terrible fire TF1260 in it. The WinUAE config is actually set to a 68020 processor with 128 meg RAM, but it works for some reason anyway. There's 341 meg in that directory, and it's copying to the SD card, which is now almost halfway done. So hopefully another couple of minutes and we'll be able to see if the SD card boots up in the Amiga 1200, which is underneath this PS2 keyboard that's connected to it via PM Development's PS2 to Amiga 1200 keyboard adapter. Generally this works very well. Sometimes you boot up in either A or V stick. I don't know if it's the keyboard, the way I've routed the wire in, interference from one of the other pieces of equipment in here, or just one of those things, or possibly an issue with the keyboard adapter. But either way, for an issue that's resolved by tapping the control key once or twice, who cares? It's not a big issue. And it's so intermittent. A lot of the time, a day will go by and nothing happens. And then you switch it on and it just unexpectedly does it. So, 257 meg in use. Getting closer. This is a really boring bit of a video. Anyway, this is the first 2 GB partition of a 59 GB SDXC card, which came in this packet from Asda, and it cost £14 with the adapter and the micro SDXC UHS-I card with adapter. It says it does up to 120 megabytes a second. That is not going to happen on the 32-bit Amiga, unless someone comes up with some excellent kit that surprises me. Oh, right. I think it's done. So, in theory, we now have a bootable SD card. Let's find out. So, first things first, let's quit WinUAE. Let's take the SD card and pop it into the Amiga. I've got custom ROMs with the HIDE device built in, so this will boot off a correctly formatted card. Right, so we don't need that, don't need that. Hopefully my EasyCam capture card thing works. Yes. As you can see, WinUAE boots slightly faster. I need to use the right mouse now. Okay, so we're using the HIDE device this time, and now we're going to add some more partitions. So let's partition the drive. We have our first partition and we have advanced options. So if I click in this space, no, I didn't want to do that. Let's just drag that back to where it was. So, new partition. Click wasn't in an empty area of the disk. Continue. Okay, right. New partition. Let's just cancel this and try again. Partition drive. New partition. Click wasn't in an empty area of the disk. New partition. New partition. What's going on here? Partition drive. So we have a partition start on 2, end on 262. Okay. Right, so. This seems to have created multiple unexpected partitions with the same this didn't happen last time. Okay, reconfiguration. Okay. Continue. Okay. Partition drive. Right. Cancel. Exit. Continue. There's some strange stuff going on there. Partition drive. Right, okay. New partition. You've got to love it when you've gone through something, you've practiced it, you've documented it, you've practiced it, you've repeated it, and you've been sure that you've repeated it experimentally so that you can come up with a video and say, hey, this is how you do this thing. And then it doesn't work and doesn't go to plan. It's fascinating. This is one of the joys of IT, and I'd love to know why this is happening. So, let's go back to WinUAE. And let's go back to having the SD card in the laptop. And let's see if we can work out what's going on with this weird thing. Yeah, it's gone screwy. It has gone screwy. So, it's screwy. It's definitely screwy. So, okay, so we'll quit that and we will go back to command prompt and we will list disk and we will select disk 1 and we will clean it. And we will eject it. Here we are. There are many SDXC cards, but this one is mine. 14 quid from Asda seems cheap, but maybe there's going to be problems with it. No, we don't want to format the disk in drive E. So, list disk. Good. Select disk 1. 1. Can't type. List part. I definitely can't type. There are no partitions. It's clean disk. Excellent. So we'll exit disk part. And now we'll launch WinUAE as administrator. Yes. Okay. So we've got configurations. In fact, let's show WinUAE config. There we go. Go to configurations, load the configuration I was using, go to hard drives. We're going to go to this one. We've got properties. We're going to make sure it shows 59.5 gig, which it does, and we're going to start it. So, no, I do not want to format the disk in drive A. Go away. Wonderful requesters. So, we're going to use HD Toolbox again. We're going to go to that one. We're going to change drive type. We're going to define new. We're going to reconfiguration. We're going to click continue. We're going to click OK and click OK and click continue and click partition drive and see that currently it's showing it hasn't got any partitions on, which is great. We're going to delete that partition. We're going to delete that partition. In fact, no, let's move it back there and make it full on maximum size. Right. So, maths time. There are 7,763 cylinders, and that's 59 gig. So we want to divide that value, call it 78, let's round up. We want to divide that value by 60 if we round that up. 78 is 18 plus 60, that's 13 times. So, yes, that won't work, will it? Let's use Windows. 7763 divided by 59.5, 130 times 2, 260. So, N cylinder, 260. Okay, and we're going to call it SDXC1. Oh. We're going to change this, and we're going to set this to 0x1FEOO. And we're going we leave the block size at 512k. This is said to be faster if you use different block size, but I'm not fussed. Right, there we go. Let's do a reset. So in theory, we've cleaned the disk and we've created a 2 gig partition, which will show up as a moment as NDOS something. Then we're going to do a quick format. I'm going to call it Workbench, like I did prior. But I'm going to call it WB, because why the heck not? I'm going to leave directory cache, let's forget about that. Quick format. Yeah, go on, just do it. So it's 2031 meg. I'm really not fussed about a couple of meg. There's a reason why you probably want to have your data on another drive anyway, and that'll become apparent later on. So WB has been formatted. We've got loads of space free. My poor laptop is really starting to struggle. And we're going to go doing some copying again. So first of all, let's move. Let's show all files. There we go. Do a clean up. Move all the DH stuff over to the right because we don't need that in the way. It will just be time consuming. And we don't need trash can over there either, really, to be fair. Over there. Maybe over there. Alright, so that's the stuff we want. Hold down shift, left click, copy. Or left click, drag. And it'll copy it. And now play the waiting game, because that now says we've got 591 meg in use, which is different from what it was earlier. Hey, retro computing. Notice it also says it's 99% full with, yeah, actually that's right, 2.9 gig free. One strange thing is, despite the fact that when you do a sysinfo test on WinUAE, it absolutely murders an Amiga 1200 with a 68060. Despite that fact, file copy operations from a Windows directory to an SD card are slower in WinUAE than they are on the Amiga 1200 from SD card on the SCSI to SD card on the EHIDE, or vice versa. I'd like to try 2 SD cards on the EHIDE, but my attempts to make a cable have so far failed. I need some proper tool and a proper cable and some time when I can be bothered. Maybe next week. So recommendations for a crimp tool, much appreciated. Ooh. 205 meg. It's taking its time. This is why people have more than one retro computer, so you'll have people who have like 3 Amiga 1200s. Although an Amiga 1200 multitasks, they're not very fast. So if you have 2, you can do twice as much as you can do with 1. And if you have 3, well, it's a magic number, isn't it? Sadly, I have 1 Amiga 1200. Some of it is there, some of it is here. I have 2 Amiga 1200 cases, some of it's here, some of it's there, and some of it's down there on top of an Atari ST. FM. Still going, still going. It's getting there. Oh, mouse, this mouse, it's WinUAE. Okay. Different this time. One thing different. This time I'm going to boot the SD card on the SCSI interface. sorry, the internal IDE that uses SCSI.device on the Amiga 1200. Because I know the SCSI.device that's built into the ROM on this one is relatively recent, so it should have all the fixes for large capacities, etc. That says it's got a signature. That's changed. WinUAE shared says it's got 657 meg in use now. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. It seems a little bit odd. Maybe I'm running out of disk space. .8 gig free. Okay. Come on, you've got to be finished soon. So, in 8 million years' time, or however long it takes, when this finishes copying to the SD card, I'm then going to move the SD card from WinUAE, from the laptop, plug it into the Amiga, boot it up, and hopefully create the additional partitions using PFS3AIO from Aminet as the file system. At least that's my plan. Sometime this year would be nice. I'm starting to wonder if WinUAE's actually crashed. No, it's still going. I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something. Prefs, tools, R, expansion, C, devs, utilities, restarted. Oh no, I didn't select DH2.7z, did I? You know, I'd rather reset it and start again, because that'll just take forever. Right. Workbench. Okay, so. Yeah, WinUAE shared. Let's try this again. Show all files. Alright. Don't want you. 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 Right, so that's what we do want. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, fine. Yeah, good. Okay. Right. Yeah, cool. Don't mind. Not worried. Not fussed. Couldn't care. So it will copy missing stuff, but it will give you warnings about stuff that exists. Either way, shortly we should have a bootable partition we can test on the Amiga 1200. There we go. It is shortly. We have a bootable partition we can test on the Amiga 1200. So, let's abandon that. Let's abandon that, and that, and let's see if the Amiga 1200 will boot from the SD card. Right. Doesn't look promising. I'm sure this is SD card adapters that do this. Specifically the adapters. I've forgotten to do something. Oh, come back when UAE. All is forgiven. Format plain disk, go away. Not interested in you. Right. Configurations. Load. Start. Just get on with it. Right, okay, so HC Toolbox UAE HF, that one, change drive type, cancel, partition drive. Advanced options, bootable, okay, save, exit. Now, if we're unlucky, that means we've ended up with an SD card that won't boot. If we're really lucky, it means we've ended up with an SD card that will boot and still has all the data on it. Wouldn't that be a nice thing? It was a lot to expect, but then this is an Amiga 1200. Cool. So it's on the SCSI. Can we partition it? Partition drive. I don't understand. This worked yesterday. Multiple times. Okay then. Okay, so we're going to do something completely different this time. Right. Disk part. Not that blooming pop-up again. Go away. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Not interested. Thank you. Bye. This disk. Select disk 1. Clean. If I can type, which I can't. Right, back to WinUAE. Okay, configurations, load, start. HC Toolbox UAHF, change drive type, define new, reconfiguration, continue, okay, continue, okay, exit, continue, box, right, change drive type, define new, reconfiguration, continue, okay, okay, continue, partition drive, delete partition. Right, so advanced options. What was it we said? 260 last time? Let's go for 261, which will give us just ever so slightly more meg. Then we'll go for a new partition there. And we're going to set this partition to, hang on, what was the last one? 261 was 2 gig. 520 would be 4 gig. 1040 would be 8 gig. 2080 would be 16 gig. So let's make it 2080. 2080 plus 262 is 2342-ish. We're going to call this one, I don't know, let's call it SD1 actually. And we're going to change the file system. We're going to add update actually. Add update the file system, add a new file system, and we're going to add LPFS3 AIO, which you can get from Aminet. Oh, caps lock on. Wow. Yeah, PFS3 AIO you can get from Aminet. It's got a maximum volume partition size of, I don't know. That's not correct for this file system. Bear with me a second. .5303 looks good, but you know what? I'm just going to go with it. Let's just go with that. Okay, so SDO, okay. SD1, I forget what we said. 261 was 2 gig, 260 call it, so 520 is 4 gig, 1040 is 8 gig, 2080 is 16 gig, 2342 is 16 gig in that case, possibly a little bit big. Let's make it just a smidgen smaller, and let's change the file system to PFS3. Thought I added PFS3, let's add a new file system, delete file system, add a new file system, LPFS3 AIO. 5303. Sounds more like it. 504. 5044503. Yeah, okay. Right. So change the fast file system to, no, it's not PDS03. I put the wrong DOS type in. Add new file system. Okay. Five oh 46. Five oh 46 5303. Yeah, okay. Change. PFS. 1 FEO. Oh, no, not caps. Okay. What was that one? That was 2340 minus 262. So 2080. 2341 4421 SD2. Let's change the file system, we'll go for PFS3 and I'll go for 1FEO again. Okay, so we now have SDO, SD1, SD2. Let's create a new partition. This one's going to be 2080 again, which is going to be 2502 in that case. No, 6502. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so 16, 32, 48, and we're going to call this one, let's give it a really imaginative title. So we've got SDO, SD1, SD2, SD3. And finally, let's create a new partition in the end, and let's call it SDO, SD1, SD2, ST4. Because this one, I expect will be slower than the others, and we change the font for that, we'll change it to PFS3. And then we're going to go backwards, double checking that the others are set to the same max transfer value. Oh, caps lock. Okay, change. That one's wrong. Change that one. That one's right. Change that one. That one's right. Change that one. That one's wrong. And that's D8, that's the main one, so that one, right. Change, yep, that's good, fine. Change, yep, that's good, fine. Change, yeah, that's good, fine. Change. I could have sworn I changed that already. Yeah, that was good. That was good. That was good. That was good. Okay. So change the drive. Exit. Right. Hey, 8 million years later. We should now have SD0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 that require formatting. SD1, 2, 3 and 4 should only format using the utility that is provided as part of PFS3. So now I'm just going to name them the same as their volumes. So SDO, there you go. So here we go, we've got an SD here, which is PFS. We're going to call it SD1 because that's its name. We're going to quick format it, and at this point we'll get the PFS request to appear. Go ahead, it does its thing. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Go and do SD2, we're going to do the same thing. I'm not going to bother with the trash can because I don't really use it. Now, I notice it says 4035 meg capacity. That is, of course, incorrect. This is way longer than I hoped for. SD3, we're going to do the same thing. I'm not going to bother with the trash can. Going to do a quick format. Go ahead, do your thing. Yeah, PFS3, far away. Then we've got SD4 to do. skip trash can, quick format. And at this point, all 5 partitions we've created on the 59GB SD card should be available to use. Cool. The last one probably is 1699 meg because it's a 2 gig partition, 3 16 gig partitions. The last one's probably about 9 gig. Right, so we got some partitions. So again, I'm going to copy the content of the WinUAE shared folder to the SDO folder. This should ensure that we've got a fully working workbench, so that if we want to do anything strange, weird or unusual with the SD card after we've got it into the Amiga itself, we can. Now I need to show all files, because there's these DH files that I don't want to copy across because we don't need them to be over there. That can go over there. That can go over there. All this stuff, let's just drag it over there, out the way, so we don't mess with it. All this stuff we want, hold down Shift, left click and drag, and it will copy it to the other device. It doesn't move it, copies it by default. Sometime later, at 51 minutes in almost, I'm not going to bother fast forwarding at this point. If you've lasted to here, well done, congratulations. There's no reward, I'm afraid to say. There's no awards, there's no pride or leaderboard for getting to this point of the video. I'm losing the will to live. I went through this process last night, it worked perfectly. I double checked it. I went to repeat the process tonight, and then twice in a row it just didn't do what I hoped it would do. Anyway, this is New Orleans, it happens. Let's see what happens this time. 141 meg in use. I notice how this time the WinUAE shed's giving a completely different value for how much is in use as well. Earlier it was saying 660, and earlier than that it was saying 255, I think. You'll have to watch this video from the start to find out. It's all over the place, but it is the same volume that I'm recording this video to. So, 163, 179, probably halfway for what I want to copy onto SDO. Once this process completes, so look at that, 10% full. That is accurate because it's less than 2 gig capacity. That's reassuring, that means that partition's working correctly, I think. 216 meg in use, it's getting there. I mean, I could have gone for a default workbench install, which would be what? 8 meg. But there's a lot of stuff in here, like libraries, CPU speed, MMU stuff like MMU tools that's used for the MMU fast ROM for moving copy of ROM via the MMU into RAM. And there's a lot of stuff in here that I got from a disk image I was given by a friend that I haven't finished sorting out. But yeah, WinUAE is not the fastest. So anyway, 271 meg in use, it's getting close to being completed now. Can't be that much longer, please. Because as soon as this works in the Amiga 1200, I think I will have put enough effort in on this video. It's driven me nuts. You go through a process expecting the same results. They say insanity is repeating the same process expecting different results. That is not insanity, that is IT. The insan bit beforehand, no, it's just IT. Insanity and IT, same thing. Wings, yeah, well, yeah, copy it, whatever. Why is it copying wings? What? Oh, DH4. Why did I copy DH4? I don't want to do that. Let's see if it screws up this time. Right, WinUAE shared. Let's try that again. See, I'm getting tired. Trying to do this process. I'm getting tired. I shouldn't be doing this now. It should have gone right first time, which of course it didn't. You know, You can't expect things to go perfectly. Show all files. Have we got DH4 in there? Yeah, we have. You can go away. We don't want you or any of your contents. I do want to show all files though when it completes that process. Oh man. I really wish I'd managed to skip that one. Right, so DH3, rad, go over there. Rad, yeah, might want you. You can sit over here. DH1, go over there. Right, okay, so show all files. Show all files. Right, so classes. Okay, cool. Right, let's get rid of that over here. Get rid of that over there. Get rid of that over there. Bring this to front. Right, so you go away. You move over there. You move over here. You move over there. You move over here. You move over here. You move over there. You move over there. Right, have a lift any DH1 stuff in? No. So we'll try copying that again. It should tell us that everything exists. So a number of cancels later, and hopefully everything will have copied across, and my SD card will be bootable. Which we'll find out. Cool. Are you finished? Docs WHD saves WH script startup lips S rad dev C font storage. Right, cool. So in theory that is done. The WinUAE has come to its end. It should not be used anymore. We can inject the SD card. We can put it in the Amiga 1200. This is an Amiga 1200, honestly. I really like it, but this one is mine. And hopefully it will boot up. Show multiple partitions. And work. Yeah. Cancel. Oh no, DHO. That's no good. It's not DHO anymore, is it? Ah yes, that's, remember what I said about the keyboard. There you go, there's evidence. It's done it that time. Rare thing. Anyway. So. Yeah, SDO. What was it, 5 of them? 5? Really? 5 seems a bit unnecessary, doesn't it, for partitions, but well, you know, when you got your workbench, you work, your demos, your games, and to be fair, I think modules could probably be on their own partition themselves, because there's loads of modules, 1.5 gig, I think. So yeah, they could probably be on their own. No, 4. They could probably be on their own partition, and to an extent smaller partitions make more sense, because if you're going to copy them via the PC anywhere, small partitions make smaller zip files and are more manageable. Because the problem I have is I keep running out of disk space on my laptop that I use for backing up my Amiga. You pays your money, you takes your choice. My choice is Amiga 1200 with a SanDisk card. Ooh, 1.76 gig free. SD1, loads of SD2, SD4, Oh, did I forget SD3? Oh my word. Drives. Swap drive. Right. SD1, SD2. There we go. SD3. This isn't WinUAE. This is an actual Amiga with a PS2 keyboard plugged into it. SD2, SD3, SD4, SD5. Oh, is there only 4? Oh, wonderful. Yeah. And it worked. SDO, SD1, SD2, SD3, SD4. 5 partitions. 59 gig total. This is not the video I hoped to make. I hope you found it less depressing than I did, and hopefully useful. So there you have it. If you're going to do this, get WinUAE, get a copy of the Kickstart ROM, make yourself a Windows shared folder that you've got Workbench installed to, that you can boot from. Add ehide.device if you need it. Add workbench.library just in case you're thinking of going for custom ROMs with the ehide device built in. Get the mu68oxo libs.lha from Aminet and get them installed. Get an up-to-date SCSI.device installed. Get a half-decent SD card, get a laptop, swear a lot, and you too could have 59GB of SD card split into 2 or more partitions. I say 2 because your first partition must be FFS or OFS and less than 2048 meg so that the Amiga can boot from it. If you use PFS, you could have a second partition up to 104.5 gig with PFS3, and then that's excessive. Manageability, smaller is better. But that is my video, and I think 62 minutes and 12 seconds is long enough. Hope you enjoyed it. Just one more reboot.